Imagine waking up every single year for over 2 decades, hoping for a simple, happy birthday that never comes. No cake, no phone call, not even a text. For 22 years, I was a ghost on my own special day. But this year, I decided to break the silence. Not with a confrontation, but with a gift so expensive it finally forced her to remember exactly who I am. The morning of my 22nd birthday started exactly like the 21 before it. Silence. The sun crept through the curtains of my small apartment, hitting the dusty surface of my bedside table. No notifications buzzed on my phone. No cheerful morning calls. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of city traffic. To the rest of the world, it was just another Tuesday. To me, it was the anniversary of the day I entered a world that seemed to have no room for me. My name is Lily Rose. I've spent most of my life trying to shrink myself, trying to be so quiet and so perfect that maybe, just maybe, my mother would notice the space I occupied. Growing up, birthdays weren't a celebration in our house, at least not mine. My brother's birthday was a week-long festival. My mother, Evelyn, would bake 3-tier cakes and hang streamers from every light fixture. But when my day rolled around, it was like the date had been professionally scrubbed from her brain. I remember being 7 years old, sitting on the porch in my favorite floral dress, waiting for her to come home from work with a surprise. She walked right past me, carrying a bag of groceries, and asked why I was just sitting there catching flies. I went to bed that night without a word, crying into my pillow so she wouldn't hear me being dramatic. By 15, the sadness turned into a cold, hard knot in my chest. I stopped reminding her. I wanted to see how long it would take for her to realize. 16 passed, 18 came and went. 21, the big milestone, was spent eating a microwave meal alone while I watched her post photos on social media of a brunch she had with her friends that same afternoon. But this year, things were different. I had finally made something of myself. After 3 years of grinding in a high-pressure tech job, I had a savings account that felt like a shield. I didn't need her money, and I didn't need her validation. What I needed was a mirror. I wanted her to look at what she had ignored for 22 years. It had to be something so grand, so undeniably Lily Rose, that she couldn't pretend it was from anyone else. I finally found it, a vintage, handcrafted emerald necklace, encased in a velvet box that cost more than my first car. I didn't send a card. I didn't write happy birthday to me. I simply put her address on the shipping label and waited. I knew she would get it by noon. I sat at my desk, my heart hammering against my ribs, watching the clock. 12:15, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Then my phone finally did something it hadn't done in over 2 decades. It lit up with her name. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity. The vibration of the phone felt like an electric shock running through my palm. Evelyn calling. It was a name I rarely saw on my caller ID, and never on this specific day. I took a deep breath, smoothed out my hair, even though she couldn't see me, and swiped to answer. Lily? Her voice sounded breathless, a mix of confusion and a strained, high-pitched excitement I hadn't heard in years. Lily, are you there? I'm here, Mom, I said, keeping my voice as flat and professional as a dial tone. I just received a package, she stammered. I could hear the rustle of tissue paper in the background. This necklace, Lily, it's magnificent. It's real gold, isn't it? And the emeralds? They must have cost a fortune. But there was no note. I assumed it was from your brother for my upcoming promotion, but the return address was yours. Why on earth would you send me something like this today? I leaned back in my chair, looking out at the city skyline. The irony was so thick I could practically taste it. I just thought it was time for a gift that matched the occasion, Mom. The occasion, she echoed. There was a long pause. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head, searching through her mental files for a holiday, an anniversary, or a milestone. Is it Administrative Professionals Day? No, that's not it. Is it an early Mother's Day surprise? No, I replied softly. It's not for you, not really. What do you mean? It was addressed to me. The gift is to remind you of a debt, I said. My heart was racing now, the good girl inside me screaming to just laugh it off and say it was a mistake. but the 22-year-old woman I had become wouldn't let me. Every year for 22 years, I've given you the gift of my silence. I stayed quiet, so you wouldn't feel guilty for forgetting me. I made myself invisible, so your life could stay uncluttered. That necklace is the price of all those missed cakes and silent mornings. The line went dead silent. The jubilant tone she had used just seconds ago vanished, replaced by a heavy, suffocating stillness. "Lily Rose," she whispered. I could hear the sudden realization hitting her like a physical blow. "What is the date today?" "It's May 3rd, Mom," I said, my voice finally trembling just a little. It's been May 3rd every year for my entire life. I didn't wait for her to apologize. I didn't want to hear the excuses about how busy work was, or how her calendar must have glitched, or how she meant to Paul. I hung up the phone and turned it off. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was the one in control. But little did I know, the necklace was just the beginning. My mother wasn't the only one who had been keeping secrets about my birth, and my expensive gift was about to trigger a series of events that would uncover why she had spent 22 years trying to forget I existed. The silence that followed that phone call wasn't peaceful. It was loud. It was the kind of silence that rings in your ears until you can't think of anything else. I had spent my entire life wondering if I was the problem, but seeing her utter confusion over a date she should have known by heart confirmed everything. I spent the next 3 hours wandering through a park near my office. For the first time, I didn't feel like a ghost. I felt solid. I felt seen, even if I was the only one doing the looking. But the universe wasn't done with its surprises. When I finally turned my phone back on, it didn't explode with apologies from my mother. Instead, there was a single text message from an unknown number. It read, "I saw the necklace you sent her. It's beautiful. But you're looking for answers in the wrong place. The jewelry box has a hidden compartment under the velvet lining. Look closer, Lily." My blood ran cold. How did someone else know about the necklace? I had ordered it from a private estate jeweler. I hadn't even shown it to my best friend. I didn't go back to work. I drove straight to my mother's house. I still had a key, one she probably forgot she'd given me. I knew she was out at her promotion celebration dinner, the one she had invited my brother to, but hadn't mentioned to me. The house smelled like expensive candles and the ghosts of my childhood. I walked into her bedroom, my boots clicking on the hardwood floor. There, sitting on her vanity, was the velvet box. The emeralds glowed like cat's eyes in the dim light. I picked up the box, my hands shaking. I emptied the necklace onto the table and began feeling the bottom of the case. It felt solid. I almost gave up, thinking the text was a prank, until my thumb caught on a tiny, almost invisible silk tab tucked into the corner. I pulled. The bottom popped up, revealing a yellowed, folded piece of paper hidden beneath the lining. It wasn't a receipt. It was a birth certificate. I opened it, expecting to see my name, the date May 3rd, and my mother's signature. But as I read the lines, the room started to spin. The name Lily Rose was there. But under the section for mother, the name wasn't Evelyn. It was Sarah Rose, Evelyn's younger sister, who had died in a car accident when I was just a baby. In an instant, 22 years of neglect made a horrific kind of sense. I wasn't the daughter she kept forgetting. I was the secret she was trying to bury. Every time she looked at me, she didn't see a child to celebrate. She saw a tragedy she wanted to erase. Suddenly, the front door creaked open downstairs. "Lily?" my mother's voice called out. "No, not my mother. Evelyn. I saw your car outside. We need to talk about that phone call." I clutched the paper in my hand, the expensive gift forgotten on the vanity. The woman who had raised me was standing at the bottom of the stairs, and for the first time, I realized I was living in a house built entirely on lies. I stood at the top of the stairs, the weight of that yellowed paper feeling heavier than the gold necklace sitting on the vanity. Evelyn was standing in the foyer, her expensive silk coat still draped over her shoulders. She looked up at me, and for a split second, I saw it. Not the annoyance I was used to, but a flicker of pure, unadulterated fear. "What are you doing in my room, Lily?" she asked, her voice regaining its sharp, controlling edge. "I found it," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I held the paper out over the railing. "I found out why May 3rd is a day you'd rather delete from history. I'm not your daughter, am I?" The color drained from her face so quickly, she looked like a statue. She gripped the banister, her knuckles turning white. She didn't deny it. She didn't scream. She simply sagged as if the weight she'd been carrying for 2 decades had finally crushed her. She was reckless, Evelyn whispered, staring at the floor. She was my baby sister, and she left me with a mess. You looked so much like her, Lily. Every time you laughed, every time you looked in the mirror, it was like seeing a ghost coming back to haunt me. I thought if I didn't celebrate you, if I kept you at a distance, the pain would stay away too. So you punished a child for existing? I walked down the stairs, passing her without stopping. You let me grow up thinking I was unlovable because you couldn't handle your own grief? I gave you a roof. I gave you a life, she shouted after me, her voice cracking. No, I turned back at the door, the cool evening air hitting my face. You gave me a house. I had to build my own life. And that necklace? Keep it. Think of it as the final payment for the 22 years of parenting you never actually did. I walked to my car, leaving her standing in the hallway of her perfect empty house. I realized then that the gift hadn't been for her at all. It was for me. It was the key that unlocked the door to my own truth. I wasn't a forgotten daughter. I was a survivor of someone else's silence. As I drove away, I deleted her number. Not out of anger, but because I finally realized I didn't need to wait for a phone call that was never meant for me. I pulled over by the river, the same one where I used to sit alone as a teenager, and I took a deep breath. For the first time in 22 years, the air felt light. I looked at the clock on my dashboard. It was 11:58 p.m. 2 minutes of my birthday left. I took out my phone and recorded a short video for my channel. My name is Lily Rose, I whispered to the camera, a genuine smile finally breaking across my face. And today I finally gave myself the best birthday present ever. I found myself. Please let me know from which city and at what time you are watching this video in the comments below. End question. Do you think Lily was right to leave the necklace behind, or should she have taken it back? If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more from LilyCalmStories.